Hi, I'm Will. Today I'll tell you about a disappearance. It happened in 1991 in Tamura District, Fukushima, Japan. A 7-year-old girl, while 8 people were home, vanished mysteriously. It's one of Japan's famous cold cases, the Ishiigo disappearance. Tamura District, Fukushima. You've probably heard of it. Earlier we covered the mysterious death at a nun's dormitory, also in Tamura District. Today's disappearance occurred in Fukushima, Tamura District. The Ishii family lived there, in a 2-story house. Both floors had separate entrances. The husband, Kenichi Ishii, was 37, owner of a local construction firm. His office was in the house. Back then in Japan, this was fairly common. The company was the home was the company, saving a lot on rent and commuting time. His wife, Yoshiko, was 27. They'd been married 8 years and had 3 kids. Eldest daughter, Tae, was 7. We'll call her Little 5. She also had 2 brothers, 6-year-old Kenjin and 1-year-old Ryo. Besides that, their 74-year-old grandfather lived there and a 66-year-old grandmother. The family was well off. No want for food or clothing. They lived happily together. But one night, their 7-year-old daughter Tae vanished, shattering their peace. What really happened that night, when everyone was home? How does a little girl vanish without a trace? Now let's rewind the clock. July 24, 1991. It was a Wednesday. That day, 2 girls came to visit the Ishii house. One was in 4th grade, the other was in 2nd grade. They were the children of Mrs. Ishii's friend. Add the Ishii family's 3 kids, and 5 children were playing together. They were having a great time. The parents had already agreed that the 2 girls would stay overnight at the Ishii home. We have to mention someone. His name was Tamagawa Kenzuya. He was 22. He worked for Mr. Ishii's company and was also the boyfriend of the 5th grade girl. Because of his job, he sometimes lived at the office, which meant the Ishii house. And on that day, Tamagawa was at the Ishii home. In the afternoon, a few kids went to his room to play video games with him. Mr. Ishii, the boss, had asked him to stay late for work, so he would also spend the night there. At 8:50 p.m., Mr. Ishii took his 2 sons back to the 2nd floor bedroom to sleep, sleeping in the upstairs bedroom. Usually, the Ishii couple and their 3 kids all slept in that room. But with 2 extra guests, the master bedroom couldn't fit everyone. So Mrs. Ishii had prepared the next room in advance, with a double bed for the 3 girls. The 2 boys followed Mr. Ishii to the master bedroom first. The 3 girls seemed to get along well. Since summer break meant no school the next day, Mrs. Ishii let them stay up a little longer, delaying bedtime. The 5th graders' grandparents lived on the 1st floor. That night the elderly couple were in high spirits, so they didn't go to bed. Instead, they headed to a nearby karaoke bar. Back then, Japan loved these small taverns, which weren't the KTVs we know today, but more like izakayas. They had karaoke equipment in the middle. Even strangers can sing together. It was 9 p.m. Grandparents saw the staff on the 1st floor. Yuchuan's room lights were off. She was probably getting ready for bed. At 9:20, grandparents had already called a taxi, eagerly headed out to a bar for nightlife. When they left, they even locked the 1st floor door. At 9:30, the 3 girls had been playing in the 2nd floor living room all day. Finally they were sleepy, so they went back to their rooms to sleep. Xiaowu took the 2 girls to their dad's room. She saw dad and his 2 brothers already asleep. Then she remembered her mother had told her she wouldn't sleep here tonight. She'd sleep in the next room instead. So the 3 girls entered the adjacent room. After a whole day together, they'd become close friends, so they didn't mind sharing a bed. They were happy about it. Xiaowu slept in the middle. The other 2 girls took the sides. Not long after, they fell asleep. Xiaowu's mother had been busy all day. By then the kids were already asleep. She kept doing chores, tidying the children's toys, preparing meals for the next day, and so on. At 10:30 p.m., Xiaowu's mother entered the 3 girls' room. She tucked a blanket over them and turned off the light. No one could have guessed it would be the last time she saw Xiaowu. She then used the bathroom on the 2nd floor. In the bathroom she heard the front door open downstairs. It struck her as odd. She wondered if the grandparents had returned so quickly, or if someone else had left. She pushed open the bathroom window, glanced down the stairs, only saw Yuchuan hurrying out, heading south. At that moment Xiao Wu's mother thought he was probably off to drink with friends. She didn't dwell on it. After using the bathroom, Mrs. Xiao Wu went to the first floor bathroom to shower. While she was showering, she heard the front door open again and footsteps heading upstairs. At 11 p.m., Mrs. Xiao Wu finished her shower after a long day. She forgot the footsteps she'd heard and went upstairs to turn off the living room light, then crawled into her husband's and two sons' bedroom to sleep. At 2 a.m., grandparents returned home from the tavern. What struck them as odd was that they'd locked the door when they left, but found it unlocked on their return. They locked it again after entering. Then they went to Yuchuan's room on the first floor to ask if he'd opened the door. At first they worried they'd wake him. But when they entered his room, he was nowhere to be found. The couple grew more uneasy because they'd seen him turn off the light and go to bed just before they left. So where had he gone? And the front door was still unlocked. Such carelessness. They headed upstairs to their son's room to ask if he knew where Yuchuan had disappeared to. In the dead of night, where did Yukawa go? Mr. Ishii, half asleep, stirred at the door. Half asleep. He wasn't sure he'd heard the grandparents' question. He muttered, "We'll talk about it tomorrow." At 4:30 a.m., Mr. Xiao Wu's father got up, ready to start a new workday. He works in construction, so early mornings are routine. He rises at this hour every day. His office is on the second floor. That morning he noticed the main door on the second floor, usually locked, was ajar. He didn't think much of it, since doors had been left unlocked before. Japan's crime rate isn't that high. Just forgetting to lock the door won't matter. So he entered the office and started working. At 5:30 a.m., the two little girls who slept with Xiao Wu last night woke up. They found that Xiao Wu, who had slept in the middle, was gone. They ran out of the room to tell the adults. Xiao Wu's father was the first to hear the news. He then woke the whole family. Everyone instantly got tense. They hurriedly searched every corner of the house, but found nothing. So Mr. Ishii reported it to the police. When the police arrived at the Ishii home, they first took a brief look at the situation. Based on the family's description, the man named Tamagawa, who was supposed to stay over last night, left the house without telling anyone, for no reason, and hasn't been seen since, and still hasn't returned. The Ishii family was sure he had taken Xiao Wu. While the police were taking statements from the family, it was 6:30 a.m. Tamagawa came home. The police immediately detained him. They asked where he took Xiao Wu. Tamagawa replied, "I don't know anything." The police then asked where he had been last night. Tamagawa said, "Around 10 p.m., I went to a public phone booth and called a friend in Junshan. From the conversation, I sensed my friend was in a bad mood, so I decided to go to Junshan right away. I got into my car and tried to drive there, but the battery was dead. It wouldn't start. I wandered around nearby, came back and tried again, still wouldn't start. Then I went to Fukushima station to catch the JR line to Junshan. At the station, I saw the last train had already left, so I had to hail a taxi. Around 11:30, the taxi took me to Koriyama, but they had originally agreed on the phone with a friend to meet somewhere, yet the friend never showed up. In an instant, Yukawa couldn't find his friend, so he slept on a bench outside the department store for the night. The next morning, he took the JR line shuttle back to Chuanying station, then went home. He saw a police car at his door. The officers listened to his account. They thought her movements were erratic, highly suspicious. They considered her a major suspect and detained her. Japanese police then launched a series of investigations. They gathered some leads. Little Wu is very timid. He doesn't even dare go to the bathroom alone at night. Usually Wu stays with his parents and his younger brother, 5 of them total, all sleeping in the same room. That night was Wu's first time not sleeping with his parents. Thus we can rule out Wu opening the door and leaving alone. Someone must have taken her out or lured her out. The only outsider in the house that night was a guest. She also left the house that night. Wu's grandparents also went out that night, but they would never harm their granddaughter. No motive could be found, so the guest remains the prime suspect. She is the main suspect. The girls who slept with Wu that night said they vaguely heard a man's voice talking to Wu at night. In a conversation, they couldn't recall exactly what was said. Both said a man had entered. One girl said, that afternoon, while they were playing video games in Yukawa's room, they heard Yukawa say to Wu, "Want to go out together at midnight?" But police think the mother prompted the girls to say that, so it wasn't admitted as evidence. Police searched the 10 families' home. Besides those staying at home, no other fingerprints were collected. Police even brought a canine to track Little Five. The dog followed his scent to the front door on the first floor and stopped there, so we can infer Little Five walked to the door himself, then was either run over or got into a car. A nearby resident that night saw a white car, with its hood open, parked on the roadside, engines still running. They thought it was someone's broken down vehicle, but by the next morning, the white car had vanished. The white car vanished. After police canvassed a dozen neighboring households, they discovered no local family owned a white car. Thus the vehicle was foreign, and most likely the one that took Little Five. These clues basically point to company support Yuchuan, the prime and sole suspect. He's the prime and only suspect. At this point, the Ishii family didn't want to hurt him. They just wanted their daughter back. They even begged him to reveal Little Five's whereabouts. But Yuchuan insisted he knew nothing. He said he only went to meet a friend, as his earlier statement claimed, and never expected everything that happened after he returned. When everyone assumed Yuchuan was the criminal, no one imagined Japanese police would, after 2 weeks of investigation, release the suspect. 2 key witnesses proved he wasn't at the scene, nor had the time to commit the crime. The first was a taxi driver, who confirmed he gave a ride to the man that night toward Junshan. The second was a street hawker in Junshan, who saw Yuchuan lying on a bench near the department store at midnight and even chatted with him briefly. They even exchanged a few words. With those 2 testimonies, the police could verify Yuchuan's statement was truthful. Little Five's mother last saw him at 10:30 p.m., while the taxi driver picked up Yuchuan between 10:30 and 11 p.m., between 10:30 and 11. Making a living person disappear in that short window is highly unlikely. Moreover, Japanese police considered Yuchuan's demeanor and cooperation during interrogation degrees. He didn't seem to be lying, so they let him go. When the sole suspect was released, the case lost its trail. No one knew who took Xiao Wu. Xiao Wu's father, Ishii, insisted Tamagawa took her. According to Ishii, Tamagawa habitually inhaled nail polish remover. He had repeatedly tried to stop her, and on the day it happened, Tamagawa was supposed to be on a vacation trip, but Ishii forced her to stay at the office. In reality, Ishii and Tamagawa's relationship had never been good, if not for Ishii considering Tamagawa's girlfriend, who is Xiao Wu's cousin. He would have fired her long ago, so it's possible Tamagawa harbored a long-standing grudge and wanted revenge on Ishii's daughter. Thus Ishii sees Tamagawa as having motive. Ishii also said Tamagawa's car battery had been dead for a while. He didn't just find out that day. She'd been using the company car these past days. So why that night? Did she mysteriously drive her own car again? Did she lose her memory? But these are just Ishii's assumptions and one-sided claims, with no evidence to back them. The police find it hard to accept the once lively Xiao Wu simply vanished. This left the Ishii family unable to live normally again. So Xiao Wu's father, Mr. Ishii, shut down his company with one purpose, to find his daughter at any cost. He even hired someone to tail Tamagawa 24/7. But they uncovered nothing. As days passed, hope of finding her grew dimmer. Since no other suspects emerged, the Japanese police were powerless. Afterward, Tamagawa was distressed, insisting she hadn't harmed his daughter, and that she was truly innocent. Tamagawa even appeared on a Japanese TV show to share her feelings, but on the show, Tamagawa's remark shocked everyone. He said, "I'll tell the truth then." What does that mean? Did he really take Xiao Wu? Or does he know who did? No one knows. It's been 28 years now. Tamagawa still hasn't spoken. Xiao Wu remains missing. The disappearance stays unsolved. If Xiao Wu is still alive, he'd be 35. Despite decades, media have periodically published his childhood photos, but he'd look very different grown up. Hope of finding him is slim. This wasn't a spur-of-the-moment crime. It was clearly pre-planned. Why did the perpetrator strike on the 24th? Because only that day, Xiao Wu sleeps apart from his parents. It offered the perfect chance.